everybody. So for today's card, I started off with this little Anya image. This is from the Greeting Farms Miss Anya Love Set. And as always, inking her up with Memento Tuxedo Black ink and then stamping it onto CC Designs Copic Quality 110-pound cardstock. And then coloring her in with my Copic markers. So I started with all the skin and just laid down a quick base with the E50, my lightest marker, and then adding a bit of darker areas with the E01, and then finally going in with my E13, which is the darkest, and just very lightly adding in the darkest areas. And then to blend the E13, I go back with the E01 and just lightly blend that out a little bit, and then finally blend everything together with the E50 again, so that everything is smooth and blended, just small circular motions, gets it all blended together. And then I can go back over some spots that I didn't feel blended very well. And yeah, that's all there was to it. And then for her cheeks, like barely dab the R20 since she really doesn't kind of have any, so hardly use that at all. And then I go on to her hair. So I started with E23, which is my lightest, and just added that in the areas where her hair would be the darkest. And then I go a shade darker with the E25 and just very lightly add some of that in the center of the darkest areas, and then E27, which is even darker, and then finally very, very lightly adding in E29, which is the darkest, and you can hardly even see it here on camera. So then once I've got the E29 down, I go back with E27. I'm going to work my way backwards and start pulling that out a little bit further. Once I get all of that, I go in with my E25 and blend that out even further again, just pulling the darker colors up and out. So then once I've got that, I go back in with my E23, which was my lightest, and blend everything together. So you can just see it kind of gives the hair a lot more depth and definition. And so once I've got that done, I start adding in kind of basically hair strands with my E29, the darkest, and I just turn the image so that as I'm flicking the marker to make these little strands, it's flicking towards me. It's just easier that way. You use a really light touch in the very, very pointed tip of the marker. So now for her dress and the bows, I started with RV11 and laid down a quick little base, and then I went in with RV32 to add a little bit of the darker areas, and then RV34 is my darkest. Got that into place, and then blended the RV34 with the 32, and then finally blended everything together with the RV11. So once I've got that done, I'm going in with R24 just on the top of her dress here and her shoes, and then my darker shade I'm adding R27. And I'm not going back with the R24 to blend because it's such a small area, the marker's still wet, and the reds like this, they just blend together on their own anyway. And then same thing with the little like teal parts, it's BG13 and then adding BG15, and again not bothering to blend because they just blend together on their own. And then for the kind of ruffles under her dress, I'm using BG000, just very lightly kind of dabbed into place. And yeah, that's all there was to it. So then I trimmed her out with my Stampin' Up! Paper snips. This part I didn't keep on camera because it's really hard to trim out a detail image while holding it in front of the camera, so I just stopped the camera and kept trimming it out on my own. So then once that was done, it's time for the card itself. So I started off with a piece of Stampin' Up! Pink Pirouette cardstock and then some pattern paper from the Fancy Pants Lovebirds 12x12 collection. So I framed that with some black cardstock. I already had like a layout and everything in mind, so started with that, and then a white circle that I die cut with one of my Spellbinders dies, and I took some Memento Angel Pink ink and then a sponge dauber and sponged all the edges of that just to give it kind of a pink look, and then adhered that into place with my ATG adhesive, and then did the same thing with the pattern paper piece. So I've got that all adhered down onto my card. And then this cardstock sticker came with the 12x12 Fancy Pants pattern paper pack, so I trimmed it down and then placed it onto the card so that she's going to have something to sit on, just like so. And then of course I had to add some ribbon. This is the AmyR's black 1/2 inch wrinkle ribbon. again, there's some places to get it online. I haven't ordered from other places, so I don't link to them right now because I don't have personal experience with them. But All That Scraps told me they do plan on getting all this ribbon back in. So once they get it in, I'll let everyone know. So got the ribbon in place, and then for the little Anya, I wanted to have her up on dimensionals, so I grabbed my little 3D foam dots because they're nice and tiny, so they're perfect for an image like this. So got those all in place, got her adhered, and then it's on to the sentiment. So I just flipped over that pattern paper and used the back side of it, and the sentiment's actually from my underwater sentiment set. Just seemed rather fitting for this image. So I stamped it with my Brilliance Graphite Black ink, which needs to be re-inked. It wasn't as black as I wanted it to be, but I was in a hurry when I made this card. And then punched it out with my Stampin' Up! Modern Label punch. And then just adhered it slightly, hanging over the ribbon a bit with my ATG adhesive. And I didn't have any like teal or aqua colored embellishments, so I just made my own. I just punched out a few of them from Stampin' Up's Tempting Turquoise cardstock. I think that's what it's called, isn't it? Yes, Tempting Turquoise, and use my Martha Stewart Confetti Heart Punch, and then adhere the 3 smallest hearts in place with my Tombow Model Multi, and then adhered the card front to the card base, and then finally going in with, I think this is Stardust Stickles, so to glitter up my little faux embellishments, and then of course added Stardust Stickles to her dress and the ruffles and everything else. It's got to have a little bling. So then for the inside of the card, I chose some more Fancy Pants pattern paper. Oh, and if you can hear that noise in the background, it's just my cat going nuts over a cardboard box. So I die cut another circle from white cardstock, sponged the edges with the Memento Angel Pink ink, grabbed another cardstock sticker from the pack, and then this one I adhered down, and I just flipped the piece of paper over and cut off the edges that hung over with my scissors. And then took another scrap of this Love You pattern paper just to tie it in with the front of the card. Got that in place. And then finally, rather than put a sentiment on the inside, I just decided to use up these last 3 little punched out hearts. So just glued those into place, and then that's all there was to it. So yeah, now it's just a matter of adhering this to the inside of the card, and that's it. So thank you all so much for watching. I hope you guys have been enjoying these videos, and I will see you all in the next one. Bye!